What's going on, everybody? It's your boy CJ, the Jewish Skeptic. Today, I want to ask a very simple question. Why is God the only thing everyone claims is real, but no one can prove it? Because let's be honest, we don't do this with anything else. You want me to believe your car is stolen or was stolen? Then you have to show me a police report. You want me to believe you got a degree? Well, you'd have to show me the certificate. You want me to believe you paid the bill? Simply show me the receipt. You want me to believe someone committed a crime? Show the evidence. But the moment we get to God, suddenly everyone wants to change the rules. Now, you just have to have faith. Sometimes you can't put God in a box, or God works in mysterious ways. Sometimes it'll be like you have to feel him for yourself. And now it's like the evidence is all around you. Okay. But if the evidence is all around me, why do I need faith to see it? Because when evidence is good, faith is really unemployed. No one says, I have phone that my cell phone exists. No one says I have faith that my lights and my electricity came on. No one says I have faith my rent is due. No. Those things are real because reality keeps sending invoices. But God gets hidden behind poetry, feelings, traditions, fear, and people's personal stories all the time. And then I'm supposed to treat that like it's proof. No, bro. That's not how truth works. Here's the problem, if you ask me. People don't just say they believe in God. They'll say God is real. They'll say something like God created the universe, or God listens to our prayers, or God heals people, or God speaks to them, or God judges people. They say stuff like God has rules for your life, your body, your marriage, your gender, your sexuality, your thoughts, even your politics, your Sunday morning church or Bible study, or whatever you want to call it. Hell, I've even heard your money and your eternal destination, I guess I could call it. That is a huge, that is a massive claim, if you ask me. And with the claim being so massive, why does the evidence always come back so small? That's what I don't understand. You're telling me there's an all-powerful, all-knowing being who created the universe, designed life, controls eternity, and knows every hair on my head, but the best evidence is I felt something during worship? Come on now. Y'all know that is not proof. That is an experience. And experiences can be real to the person having them without proving the thing they believe caused it. People feel things in churches. I've seen people feel things in temples, and people feel things during meditation. I've seen people get in their feelings and pass out at Michael Jackson concerts. Like, people feel things watching movies, y'all. I mean, watch when somebody's favorite football team or favorite basketball team will win. There's a feeling that they show. And I'm saying that to say this. Human beings are emotional creatures. And a feeling can be powerful. But powerful does not automatically mean supernatural. Because if feelings prove God, then every religion with emotional followers has to be true. And that can't be. It can't be. Every religion is not true at the same time. So somebody has to be wrong here, y'all. And that's where believers start getting uncomfortable, in my opinion. Because they don't want their personal experience to count as evidence. They don't want to accept everybody else's personal experience at the same level. I'll give you an example. A Christian will say, I know Jesus is real because I felt him. Then a Muslim will come along and say, well, I know Allah is real because I felt peace when I prayed. And then the Hindus will say, well, I know my gods are real because I had a vision. And then a spiritual person will say something like, I know my ancestors are guiding me because I felt their presence. So what do we do with that? Are we all accepting of it? Or are we finally admitting that feelings are not a reliable way to prove what is actually true? Everyone can feel certain, but certainty is not the same thing as accuracy. People have been confidently wrong since the beginning of time. Flat Earth. Volume does not make a claim true. Tears don't make a claim true. A testimony doesn't make a claim true. And I know it may be somebody, especially on Facebook, when I post this, they ready to say, well, CJ, you can't prove love neither. Well, I beg to differ, because yes, you can prove love exists as a human experience. You can observe behavior. You can measure the attachment. You can see sacrifice, care, commitment, action, and emotional bonds. Love is not a magic, invisible person making demands from outside of the universe. So no, love is not the same category as God. The comparison is tired. Let it rest. Then somebody else will come along and they'll say, well, you can't prove morality neither. Again, morality is a human system of values, behavior, and harm, and fairness, and cooperation, and consequences. We can actually discuss morality. We can debate it. We can build societies around it. But when you say God exists, you're not just talking about values. You are claiming there is a being. You're claiming that there is a mind, a creator, a judge, a supernatural authority. That is a claim about reality, y'all. And claims about reality, they need evidence. Not your vibes or how you feel. Not threats. Not no ancient books. Not my grandma believed in it. Not look at the trees. Trees prove trees. The sky proves the sky. The universe proves the universe. None of that automatically proves your specific God, your specific scripture, your specific doctrine, or your specific heaven or hell, or even your specific church tradition or doctrine. That's the part people keep skipping over. They point to existence and then smuggle their religion into it. And it sounds something like this. Oh, well, CJ, look at the universe. Okay, I'm looking. Now what? Well, how did you get from the universe exists to my denomination is right? That's the question I ask. Because to me, that is a huge jump. That's not a bridge whatsoever. That's a pole vault. You don't get to say the universe had a beginning, therefore my pastor is correct. No, bro, you need to slow it down a little bit. You skipped about 45 to 50 steps. Even if someone argued the universe had a cause, that still does not prove the cause is Yahweh or Jesus or Allah or Brahma or any God from any book. It definitely does not prove that this cause cares on what you eat, who you love, the day you worship, or whether you gave 10% of your paycheck for tithes. That is the problem with these arguments. They are broad and in specific. They start with something caused the universe and somehow land at, come to my church this Sunday. No, sir, I will not. You don't get to take the mystery of existence and use it as a coupon for your religion. Then we get the classic one. Creation. Oh, well, creation proves a creator. Sounds cute. Really, it does. But it hides the assumption inside the sentence. You call it creation first, then say it needs a creator. That's like calling a rock a sculpture and then demanding, I believe in the sculpture. You have to prove it was created before you can use it as proof of a creator. You can't just label nature as creation and act like the debate is over. That is not an argument. That is wordplay wearing church clothes. And then people will say, well, everything designed has a designer. But how do you know the universe is designed? Oh, well, I guess because it looks complex. That's not an answer, but okay. All right. I mean, a hurricane is complex. Cancer is complex. A parasite is complex. A virus is complex. Complex does not automatically mean designed by a loving mind. And if you want to say complexity proves God, then you have to explain why so much of that complexity looks messy, wasteful, violent, and broken. Because nature is not some perfect little church brochure. Nature is beautiful, yeah, it is. But nature is also brutal. Let's think about it now. Animals eat each other alive. Children get cancer. Earthquakes crush families, and diseases wipe out communities. Stars explode. Species go extinct. I mean, 99.9% of the species here on Earth have gone extinct. Bodies fail, minds break. So when people say, look at creation, it proves God, I have to ask, which part? The sunset or the tumor? The rainbow or the parasite? The baby's laugh or the baby's funeral? Because if you want to give God credit for everything beautiful, you don't get to run away when the ugly parts start to show up. That's too convenient. And believers love to say God gets the glory. But when tragedy hits, suddenly God needs a lawyer, or now it's free will, or now it's a sin. Now it's the fall of Adam and Eve, or now it's a test and we can't understand God's plan. All right. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Truly amazing. God gets credit for the rescue, but never responsible for the wreck. I mean, there is never no responsibility for the wreck whatsoever. That is the cleanest public relations campaign in history. And that brings us back to the evidence. Because when people have evidence, they present it. When they don't, they protect the claim. That is why God always gets moved out of reach, because they always moving the goalposts. You ask for proof, and they'll say, God is beyond science. You ask for a clearer sign, and they'll say, you're testing God. You ask why prayers fail, and they'll say, well, sometimes the God says the answer is no. You ask why evil exists, and they'll say, oh, well, free will. You ask why natural disasters happen, and they'll say God's ways are higher than ours. And I've even been able to ask people why God doesn't just show up clearly. And I heard he wants a relationship, not proof. Really? Because every healthy relationship I know requires showing up. If someone said I love you, but I never speak clearly, never appear, never answer directly, and if you don't believe in me, I'll punish you forever, we would not call that love. We would call that emotional terrorism. But somehow when God does it, people call it holy. And that's the part that gets me. The standard changes because the claim is protected. And when the claim needs protection from normal questions, that tells me something. Truth does not need a security team. Truth can handle questions. Truth can handle investigations. Truth can handle doubt. Truth can handle evidence. If God is real, why is he always hiding behind people who get offended when you ask for proof? Why does the all-powerful creator of the universe need humans to defend him in Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram comments? Why does God need apologists? Why does God even need excuses? Why does God need people to explain why he actually is silent? That's the question. And no, asking this does not mean I hate God. I don't hate what I don't believe exists. I am not angry at your God. I'm just simply unconvinced by the claim. There's a difference. If someone told me invisible dragons control the weather, and I said, prove it, no one would say I hate dragons. They would understand I'm asking for evidence. But with God, people take skepticism personally because the belief is personal. I get that though. I really do. I understand that religion is tied to family, childhood, hope, grief, trauma, and even community. I know people don't just believe because of arguments. A lot of people believe because belief helped them survive. And I'm not mocking people for surviving, but I am challenging the claim because comfort and truth are not the same thing, y'all. A belief can comfort you and still be false. A story can inspire you and still not be real history. A prayer can calm you down and still not contact a deity. A church can help you and still not prove God. See, we have to be mature enough to separate emotional value from factual truth. And that's where a lot of people don't want to go. Because once you ask for proof, the whole thing gets shaky. Not because we skeptics are mean, but because the evidence was never as strong as people actually claimed it to be. And if the best defense for God is you can't disprove him, then we already have a problem. Because I'm not required to disprove every invisible thing someone imagines. That's not how the burden of proof works. If you make the claim, you carry the weight. It's that simple. You say God exists. Cool. Show me. You say God heals. Okay. Cool. Show me the medical evidence before and after. Independently verified with no natural explanation. You say God speaks. Okay. Show me a message that cannot have come from your own mind, your culture, or your scripture. You say prophecy proves God. Okay. Show me a prophecy that is specific, written before the event, not vague, not edited after the fact, and not interpreted with a telescope after history already happened. You say the Bible proves God. I say no. I say the Bible proves people wrote religious texts. The claim is inside the book. The book is not automatically evidence that the claim is true. A Spider-Man comic taking place in New York does not prove Spider-Man is real. Real places in a story do not make the supernatural parts true. Jerusalem existing does not prove resurrection. Egypt existing does not prove Exodus. Babylon existing does not prove prophecy. Rome existing does not prove miracles. Historical settings do not validate supernatural claims. That's basic. But religion trains people to treat basic questions like attacks. And that's why I keep saying evidence matters, because without the evidence, every claim gets a throne. Without evidence, anyone can say anything. Without evidence, every religion gets to be true. Without evidence, every prophet gets authority. Every cult leader gets a platform. Every dream becomes a message. Every coincidence becomes a sign. And most importantly, without evidence, every fear becomes a doctrine. And I don't know about you, but I am not living like that. I refuse to hand my mind to claims that cannot stand up in the daylight. People, if God is real, God should not need darkness to survive. If God is true, questions should not be a threat. If God is powerful, evidence should not be impossible. If God wants belief, don't you think clarity would help? If God is hiding on purpose, then my unbelief is not rebellion. It's the reasonable result of bad communication. People act like atheists are refusing God. No. Many of us have looked. Many of us have prayed. Many of us have studied. And a lot of us have begged for the truth. I'm talking more about myself when I say this, but many of us atheists have sat in churches and read the scriptures and cried at altars and defended the faith, argued with skeptics, and tried to believe harder. And then one day we realized something. The evidence just didn't match the confidence. The claims were really loud, but the proof was quiet, solid. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. So when someone asks me, why don't you believe in God? My answer is simple. Because the evidence has not met the claim. Not because I want to see it, not because I'm hurt or I hate church, or not because I think I know everything. Bro, I don't believe because I have not been given a good reason to believe. And that should not offend anyone who cares about truth. Because if your belief is true, don't you think evidence should help it? If evidence hurts it, then maybe the problem is not the skeptic. Maybe the problem is the belief. And I said that so I can close with this. I'm not asking for God to do magic tricks. I'm not asking for a special treatment. I'm not asking for impossible standards. This is what I'm doing. I'm asking for the same basic standard we use everywhere else. Claims need evidence. Big claims need stronger evidence. And the God claim is one of the biggest claims humans have ever made. So no, I'm not lowering the bar just because the claim is wrapped in tradition. I'm not turning my brain off because someone says you gotta have faith. I'm not pretending personal experience is proof. I'm not accepting ancient stories as evidence of supernatural events. And I'm definitely not going to be guilt tripped for asking the obvious question, Why is God the one thing that can't be proven? That's the question. Maybe the reason God can't be proved is not because God is too big. Maybe it's because the evidence is just too small. And if that bothers you, don't bring me more emotion. Bring me evidence. No fear, no dogma, just clarity. Thanks for watching The Jewish Skeptic. See you guys on the next one.
Do you know what I found? The more you know, the less you know.